In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another edition of In Full Zoom. I'm Nestor Licanto, and our guest this week is the General Manager of the Guam Power Authority, Mr. John Benavente. John, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Lester. Thank you for inviting me, and hello to everyone.
You are in the midst right now of getting approval from the CCU and the PUC of the renewable energy plan that would add another 180 megawatts to the future island-wide power system. Can you tell us, first of all, just to summarize what that energy plan is all about?
First of all, we do have a Guam Clean Energy Plan, which is, again, to reduce your rates of the consumers by 2024, 2025 by the completion of the Ukudu power plant. That's the first step and the cornerstone of the plan. In addition to that, we had about 170 megawatts of new renewables that we contracted for. And the first one was the KEPCO 60 megawatt, which is on the line. The next one was another 60 megawatt with Hanwha that was going to have to put a transmission line all the way from Dandan all the way to PD. And so that is not on the line. It had issues getting it together. Costs are way up now, and it appears that they may not be able to do that project. And then the third one, of course, is the one on Navy base. And this is where, again, the meeting was long yesterday because I tried to address all the different things that we need to address if we are going to be successful and get the lowest rates for consumers on the island. So there's a case where we had a protest, no? We won the protest with the OPA, and then they went to the Superior Court. We won the protest with the Superior Court. So we won the battle but lost the war because by that time, with all the pandemic, inflationary costs, supply chain costs, the proponent no longer wanted to do the project. So what did that mean for us, Nestor? That's a minimum of $5 million a year savings for the consumer. Times 25 years, that's a $75 million loss because of the procurement process that allows people to protest without any penalty or any skin in the game. The only skin in the game is the ratepayers, 75 million, which they won, but they lost. So we got to address that because, again, we are going to, we're mandated to go to 50%, 100% renewables. Not at any cost, we are going at low cost, right? But to achieve that, we have to change the laws that will allow us to effectively make that happen in the best interest of the ratepayers. So, okay, so we're losing 110 megawatt, no? So there was also earlier this year, you recall, GPA got the PUC and CCU to approve our plan to go to 50% renewable by 2030. And that plan said, the integrated resource plan said we'll need 400 megawatts of renewables by 2030 to get to 50%. So, okay, so now we lost 110. I'm thinking we still have that, we still want to get this low-cost energy on the line as soon as possible. So that's when I took 180 out of the 400 and say, okay, let me proceed further in getting this because already we're, as best as we could, we contracted. It wasn't, it looks like it's not going to be for, except for the 60 megawatt that was completed. The others faltered, so therefore we adjust the plan. So that's where we are now. We're going for 180 megawatt because transmission lines are still needed in this process to make it happen. So it's still going to be a challenge, but once they come in, then that would allow us to again put more renewables at a cheaper cost because of the transmission, the infrastructure are more able to accommodate that. So yes, this 180 really, the plan has been approved. Now I'm saying, here are the procurement documents. I want to go out as soon as possible. So I'm hoping the PUC approves it in October. CCU approved it this Tuesday. PUC approves it in October. And then we're out in the street in November because it's going to take like about 9 months to get a contract, because it's about a $200 million contract for every 60 megawatt. So you're talking about this 180 megawatt to be about $500 million or more contract. But that may scare people. Oh, we're going to spend $500 million. So of course, we're going to spend $500 million to save substantially even more than that. See, so oil to jobs. We're going to get away from oil to jobs. So just one more case, maybe that will hit people, let people understand more. Each of the 60 megawatt will reduce the annual consumption of fuel by as much as 200,000 barrels a year. So that's 600,000 barrels of oil that we don't have to import. That 600,000 barrels of oil is going to pay for the infrastructure and still reduce the cost of energy for everyone. So that's why we're hot to trot. We want to make it out. There's other parts of my presentation that say, okay, I want to start looking and developing rooftop potentials on the island. By looking at rooftop potential, I want to go out and aggregate amounts so I can take advantage of economies of scale for the benefit of, for example, the DOE, just the residential commercial consumers on the island, maybe the ancestral and Tomorrowland that have all this property that is not doing anything, maybe leasing out a portion of it for 25 years, use that revenue to put infrastructure in other areas. So there's a lot that there's a lot of opportunities that's going to come out with this oil to job scenario by heading to renewables. So I'm laying out a plan for us to develop programs to make that happen. But the key one that's going to save us is the utility scale solar projects. And that's the one that we want to proceed with now. In addition to that, and again, I'm trying to summarize everything that I said last night, right?
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Let me ask you about the utility scale, because you mentioned the rooftop and trying to identify space, but utility scale solar is very land intensive. Do we have enough room on this limited island space that we have?
I figured we've analyzed all of that, no? And I figured that there's at least the capacity for 1,500 megawatts on unutilized land, no? And if you look around the Lanaway area, a lot of these land areas are in areas that one may not have, it's not going to develop in terms most in the south or whatever, unless, we just run out of land on the island. In addition to that, I looked at the capacity of rooftop solars and that's about another 300 megawatts possible. So that's already almost 1,800. And I'm saying in my presentation, I said, we need 400 megawatts to get to 50%, another 500 to get to 100%. That's 900 megawatts. We have more than 1,000 megawatt capacity on this island to still make it happen and still be able to have the regular need, land areas to have the regular needs of the consumer. So the answer to that is yes, we can still do it. And again, utility scale brings us the lowest and lowers the risk of everyone, because again, we don't own the utility scale at this point. Maybe at some point in the future when we get there's an incentive for even municipal utilities or public utilities like us to get credit. So if we bought a certain amount of solar farm, I think as much as 30% of that cost could be credited back to the federal government. So that's a work in progress that we're waiting to see how the regulations roll out. But again, right now, we put all the risk and burden on the power purchase agreement, who still owns the facility after 25 years. Because then what are we going to do with all the panels and the batteries and everything? That's still a question that's not totally understood, if you will, at this point. No?
Yeah. John, you're also proposing financing some of these projects through a great $300 million green bond. Can you explain what that is?
Yes. In the integrated resource plan, it looked at to get to 50% renewable or 100% at the most, but to get to 100%, we have to at least prepare the infrastructure to get to 50%. If we do that, 100% is achievable. However, you can't just plug and play here in the grid. You can't just put in solar anywhere you want to and expect your power to be on or stay on, right? So if you look at the integrated resource plan, it identified about $230 million of investment into the system to be able to ensure that we have reliable and sustained resilient power. In addition to that, I'm looking at if we put in transmission line in certain key areas of the island, we can now facilitate lower cost energy utility scale. Because right now, again, even part of the 180, they're going to have to estimate what it costs to put in the transmission line. And again, sometimes that's our core business. So if down the road we can do that core business by having the funding and preparing the rest of the system to accommodate renewables, then we can again lower the cost for the consumer. So that's 300 plus 230 is about 500, and there's some what you call it, duplication of the cost. Some are already in the 230, if you will. So that's why I was saying we need to proceed with at least 300 million bonding authority, meaning we have to go to the legislature to get approval for us to go out for bonds. That's the first step. Once we do that, we're at the same time we're aggregating which upgrades must go first, no? So we're going to do that, and then there's also a substantial amount of federal grants out there. But if you go over and say, hey, I need $130 million for battery, not everybody's going to be jumping to give you $130 million, right, for just this small island. But if we go in and say, okay, I already am going to put in 75 million for half of that battery. Will you match that with a $75 million of your program? So that has been successful, and that appears to be the formula to make things happen and get higher and bigger federal grants. We did that in 2012 when we put in the smart grid for the island. We've invested $16 million in bonds, and the federal government gave us $16 million, and that's why we have smart grid already since 2013. Even smart grid that Hawaii doesn't have today. So what we're going to do now is hell or high water, we have to put this investment in to get the savings from the renewables. But at the same time, we can leverage that with the federal, get more grants, which means our 300 million goes a further way, goes a longer way. But I need to have all of these leverages. I need to have, if you see, it's a comprehensive plan as to how we're going to move forward to achieve the maximum savings. And again, I would like to note again, one might think, oh, we're putting in all this money. Is it really going to do what? Of course it will, because every barrel of oil is about $100 to $150. We're eliminating that and taking that money and putting it into infrastructure and low-cost energy and savings at the same time. See, so that's the whole process. That's the whole key. Is 180 megawatts. 2, let me have bonding authority. 3, help me set the regulations on the island so that protest has, they have to have ante in the game to really protest. And because I can give you many cases on point where even a current contract, someone bids lower, we cannot award it to the lower cost because there's some protest that takes a year or 2 to go away. So therefore, it costs us that much more money because of the regulation. But the renewals is huge, So therefore, help me change the regulation, and then we're looking for grants, and then we're also developing rooftop solar programs because we're known in this island from what I hear is that we're anti-solar. We're not anti-solar. We are trying to get the least cost solar for all the people, and that's the case in point in KEPCO here. Is this 60 megawatt solar is going all to the LEAC and is saving at today's rate $2 million a month, $24,000 $24 million a year to the LEAC. Otherwise, you would have been paying more. See, so and then one more thing, Lester. There's also in the procurement regulations the issue of local preference of 15%. That local preference is when you go to a renewable contract is like $3.2 million a year times 25 years, $70 million for a local preference. That local preference should go to the community. So maybe we have to work out some arrangement as to how that, because that's not meant for renewable procurement, but it's a reality that's going to hurt us, no?
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
There is in the books, again, a local preference of 15% for local, right? However, in a long-term procurement, high-cost procurement or renewable, for 1 year, a local preference, say 15% of 15 cents per kilowatt hour energy bid. That translates about 2.5 cents per preference times 141 million kilowatt hours a year. That's $3.2 million. Times 25 years, that's about $70 million. So we're going to, because there's a company, it's a local preference, the community is going to give them $70 million. I don't think that's what it was meant to be. For example, if you're buying a computer for $1,000, right? So 10% of 1,000 is, or 15% of $1,000 is 150, no? So $150 one-time cost is very different than renewable procurement, which is annual for 25 years. So therefore, you can have some kind of local preference, but not the way it is today. But that's a reality, again, of another thing that we have to change to be able to make this thing happen. So we'll be asking the legislature to help us. They want us to do 50%, 100% renewable. Please help us, because it's hard for me to stomach some of these things, if you will, if we're trying to save the consumer money, because they just don't, they're not, it's imbalance and it's just skewed against the government. And really the government right now is for the ratepayers, no? I'm working for the ratepayers. I'm working for the community. So, that's and that's how I translate it, right?
Yeah. Speaking of the legislature, real quick, just to go back to that, what sort of procurement reform are you seeking?
Yeah, I'm looking at procurement reform on protests and local preference to make that a reasonable amount, and basically those are the two things. Finding a way to see if we have a different model, maybe similar to what the military uses to be able to contract out, no? Using some model like that, which is more relevant to huge. I mean, each 60 megawatts is 200 million. You're talking about over $1 billion already of investment that we have to make. Several $1 billion of investment we have to make to achieve the mandate of 50 and 100%, which in any case, even if the mandate wasn't there, we would have looked for, because it's a way to save the consumer. Because at the end of the day, Nestor, and again, you can check the box on this in about 2 to 3 years. It's going to lower our cost of energy on the island, and it's going to make it affordable, and then it's going to make it sustainable, meaning the cost of energy is not going to be impacted significantly like it has been through all the years in 2008 when the fuel prices went up to $100 a barrel, 2013, and again in 2022. So we're going to get away from that and have a more stable, lower cost and stable energy costs, because the hedge now, you heard about people, oh, we should have the hedges like this. The hedge now is the 1% escalator of the renewables. 8.5 cents today, 25 years from now, still about 10 cents. That's a huge difference now that will keep keep your power energy costs levelized, no? Now, one may say, okay, what other advantages are there? Anyone wanting to come in to do business in Guam, including major centers like data centers, they're afraid of energy costs. They're afraid that their energy costs will track the way our energy costs have been tracking. Not too long ago, we were at about 20 cents a kilowatt hour. Now we're at 39 cents a kilowatt hour because of world events. So by us being able to leverage all of this, hedge against all of this, and therefore now energy costs will be more consistent. That will now start to, in my mind and my understanding, attract more industries like data centers to the island, because they energy costs go up. What do they have to do? They're not going to cut the dividends to their rate to their investors. They're going to cut labor. They're going to cut other costs. Nobody wants to do that. So I think we by tackling this energy issue with of the island for the good for the benefit of our ratepayers, it also opens up other other opportunities for more industries, more jobs to come in. Oil to jobs. That's our whole trust with our clean energy plan. See.
Yeah.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E. GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information. In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises Inc. and IT&E.
Also related to the renewable energy is the Navy recently came out with a release indicating its continued support of a renewable energy partnership with GPA. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, I mean, if in 2018 or 2019 when we were ready to award to NG this contract on Navy base, 164 acres, which they considered excess at the time to them, and that it will be beneficial to put in renewables into it, so that for the benefit of both the community and the military, because the LEAC is also, the military is about a 20% customer. So whatever we do with the LEAC to lower the cost, make it sustainable, and they also get a 20% advantage. So, and it's easier, instead of them doing it, it's better that the utility does it, because again, that's our core business, right? And that way the savings is shared with everyone. But of course, after 2 years, things have changed, no? We haven't dug a shovel in the ground yet, if you will. And what has happened is Indochina started, over the past 2 years, started really having this issue with escalating this issue with Taiwan, and you got North Korea thinking, oh, they were going to throw us a nuclear missile over this way. So missile defense has been one of the key concerns on this island too. We have the Patriot missile, but they want a stronger missile defense. So they determined that these areas seem ideal for the missile defense system. So I'm saying that's fine. But my understanding with the AMRO and the Navy is that they will continue to look for areas that we can put renewables. They will support us in renewable programs, maybe in getting, if we're looking for grants, they'll put in the word as to, yes, this is helpful for both ourselves and the military. so that we're working together as a team because we are integrated, most especially within the rate structure. There, we supply 100% of the energy, and they know it's the right thing. It's the one Guam approach for us. So that's our understanding with the Admiral. And I'm saying, missile defense is very important to me, and I'm sure to our ratepayers also. So I'm saying we can find land for other renewables. No, as you can see, we're going out for 180. So yes, there's a hiccup in the whole process. I'm sure down the road they'll find other properties that we can put on that would again help us provide lower cost renewables. In the meantime, we'll move on, and yes, Admiral, you can have the land back and do what you need to do, because I think it's quite important also that we have that missile defense system. So yes, all that was discussed, and then that was memorialized in a letter to us, so that they can now could move on in the process of working out the missile defense system.
All right, John. And finally, in summary, what's your final thoughts on achieving at least 50% renewable capacity by 2030, I believe is the target?
We're going to do it. It's going to happen. Take a look at what we're doing today. Look at what I'm asking. So we are going to achieve it. I need the help of the community. No, I also need the help of the ratepayers and everyone to, we're putting out a lot of infographics and information to try and let our ratepayers, newsletters, right, understand where we're going and how we're going to achieve it. No. So I need everyone really to get on board and help us push this forward. Demand that we make this happen, and that will make my job easier. That way I don't have to be pulling the cart. I'm just trying to drive the wagon, and all of that. So yeah, I need everyone's help, most especially again the lawmakers and everyone. Help me help the whole island achieve what we need to do, because even myself, I'm amazed about the potential opportunities that are there for us. But again, we only get this one crack at it. If we go down and renewable is a 20-year contract process. Even the rooftop solars, when they contracted for 20 years and didn't do a good job of it, they're stuck for 20 years. So we have to do this right. And I'm saying we have the expertise to make this happen. And so help us help you, make it happen. That's all I ask, and we will do the heavy lifting.
Right, that's John Benavente, the general manager of the Guam Power Authority, on Guam's renewable energy future. Thanks for joining us, John.
Well, thank you, Lester. Thank you, KUAM, and for having me. Great, thank you.
All right, I'm Nestor Licanto. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on In Full Zoom.
Thank you.
In Full Zoom is presented by Calvo Enterprises, Inc. and IT&E.